I'm going to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the January 6, 2026 City Council meeting. I hereby call the meeting to order. Members of the public may attend the City Council meeting in person or may watch or listen remotely by viewing on Channel 8 WCTV and at the city's website at wayzata.org/WCTV. Public comment during the public forum and/or public hearing portions of the meeting may be provided in person at the meeting in advance or by logging on to the Teams call and raising your hand during the public hearing section. When your name is called in the meeting, you will be seen and heard in our council chambers and the cable channel. You will be asked to unmute, turn your camera on, and you may begin your comments. All public comments should include your first name and who you're representing as an individual or group. Second item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. It would ask everyone to stand if they are able and follow along. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Thank you for that. Next on our agenda is roll call. Let the record reflect that all council members are present this evening. I need to read a statement about our workshop that was held just prior to this meeting. We held a closed meeting from 5 to 6:30. A closed meeting of the Wayzata City Council was held pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D05, Subdivision 3B, the attorney-client privilege exception to the open meeting law, to discuss the following litigation: Lake West Development 200 LLC, Lake Street East, Kurt Fretham. Next, Dre Trustee LLC. Next, DLC 2020 Revocable Trust, Plaintiff versus City of Wayzata, Kyle Hunt and Partners, Artesian Homes, Lori Hedrick, Karen Webster, and Craig Swanson. The next one is Alden Adams, 225 Manitoba Avenue LLC, Olivia Adams, Wayzata Cottage LLC, Robert Fisher, trustee of Robert Fisher C. Trust. Next and last is Jeffrey Lee Homers, 306 Berry Avenue LLC, Scott Trips, 1020 Lake Street LLC, Anna Osenkanova and Evgeny Organovich. That's the last one. Thank you. This meeting was closed to permit the council to meet with its attorneys to review and candidly and openly discuss absolutely confidential and privileged matters related to the above referenced litigation, plural. Okay, that's a mouthful. Next. I'd like to look at approving the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as is, or does anyone like to make any adjustments?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
I have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that passes 5-0. Next, the reason many of you are here in the safest place in all of Wayzata, when I look at all these uniforms out there, is the public forum. And just a reminder to those sitting in the audience tonight or on Teams, if you're interested in speaking, please state your name, who you're representing, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. If the item is on the agenda, you fill out a form on the table to hand it to staff. You fill out a different form if you are wanting to speak on something that's not on the agenda. So if anyone is willing to do that, they need to hand their cards in now if you're willing. I do have one public forum card. Do we have anyone on Teams at this time?
Mr. Mayor, we do not.
Okay, before we move on to the big show, I'm going to invite Mr. Kevin Peterson for the public forum, sir. Thank you. Welcome.
Mayor Mullen, council members, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Kevin Peterson. I'm not a resident of Wayzata, but I live in the Ferndale North neighborhood, which is just adjacent to Wayzata, with my family of Jennifer Peterson and my 3 daughters. A little bit about me, just real quick. So I'm a business owner. I own 4 businesses across Minnesota and Wisconsin, as well as the Math Learning Center, Mathnasium up in Plymouth, employ about 90 people across Wisconsin and Minnesota. So why am I here? So over the next 90 days, I'm visiting all the cities within Hennepin County. And the reason why I'm visiting all the city councils within Hennepin County is because I'd like to request that all of you create a coordinated effort to achieve the following during the truth and taxation period for Hennepin County in 2026, which begins in March. I'm asking for that to achieve 2 things: review and reform property tax assessment policies and practices, and conduct an audit of the county spending with a focus on the health and human services spending, which is 50% of the total county spending. Again, I'll make this short and sweet, but I do want to leave you with one data point. Back in 2025, December 9th of 2025, I submitted a data request to Hennepin County. That data request requested the last 8 years of nonprofit spending within the county. Unfortunately, they didn't submit back to me all 8 years, they just gave me 2025. Within that 2025 period, Hennepin County spent over $150 million to over 600 nonprofits, almost exclusively in Minneapolis. I want to put that in perspective for you. Minneapolis, the land of Minneapolis, not including the rivers, is 55 square miles. If you take that 600 divided by 55, you essentially get Hennepin County paid 8 to 9 nonprofits per square mile. To put that in perspective, Minneapolis Public Schools only has 4 to 5 schools per square mile. So we are paying more nonprofits within the city of Minneapolis than we have public schools on a per square mile basis. Additionally, the county paid $90 million to a category called Medicaid expansion. I'm not entirely sure what that was used for. I've requested to ask follow-on questions for that information in addition to the additional 7 years that I've requested for nonprofit spending. And I'll leave you with this last piece. As a citizen of Hennepin County, I believe that it's an absolute moral hazard for the property owners within Hennepin County that don't live in Minneapolis to continue to spend or send property tax dollars to Hennepin County when its sole purpose is to accommodate for the mismanagement of Minneapolis. And I will leave you with that, and I will continue to engage with you as well as the other cities as I go along my journey here for the next 90 days. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Peterson. Next, we are going to be swearing in police officers. I'm going to turn it over to city staff, and thank you for all being here tonight. It's a special night for police and families and the officers being sworn in. So, City Manager or Chief Baker?
I'm going to turn it over to Chief Baker to introduce each officer, and then I'll conduct the swearing in.
Thank you, Interim City Manager Yeager. Mayor, City Council members, thank you very much for having us here. It's an honor and a privilege to be in front of you tonight. I'd just like to make the announcement to the officers that are in the back that work for the City of Wayzata. You're required to stay to get a picture. The council has assured me that there will be a recess. It won't take very long. So with that, we'll get started. Mr. Omarr Wallace, if you could come up here, please. Officer Wallace was born in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, and raised in Minneapolis. Officer Wallace developed a strong appreciation for community and public service. He began his law enforcement career with Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, serving as a detention deputy. In that role, he gained valuable experience working with individuals during challenging situations and developed a strong communication and interpersonal skills. What stood out most about Omarr during his interview was it was clearly obvious that he has a strong ability to find a topic of conversation and can build a rapport and bond with anybody in a short period of time. Officer Wallace graduated from North Hennepin Community College, earning his degree in May of 2024. He chose to pursue a career in law enforcement to be a positive presence in the community and to make a meaningful difference in people's lives. Officer Wallace has a pilot's, student pilot license. So he's looking to start a pilot program in the city of Wayzata. Where is the interim city manager is going to swear you in? And then we'll have your grandmother come and pin you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to try to move the mic close so that way everybody can hear you. Omarr, it is my privilege. Please raise your right hand. Say, I state your name.
I, Omarr Wallace,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States,
to support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and to discharge faithfully
and to discharge faithfully
the duties of the Office of Police Officer
the duties of the Office of Police Officer
of the City of Wayzata
of the City of Wayzata
in Minnesota
in Minnesota
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Omarr.
Have her come up?
Yep, have your grandma come up, and then you can say a few words if you'd like.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank Chief Baker, Deputy Chief Schroner, City Manager Aurora, City Council, Mayor Mullins, and the City of Wayzata for giving me the opportunity and for believing in my ability to serve as a dedicated officer for the City of Wayzata. Most importantly, I want to express my gratitude to my mother and father for the unwavering support, encouragement, and patience and love throughout this journey. I would also like to thank my FTOs, Officer Hapia for my introduction into the department, Officer Datzman for showing me what it means to dig deep and push beyond my own expectations, and Officer Karstens for his patience, guidance, and steady leadership that helped build my confidence as a new officer in this department. I also want to thank my mentor, McNeely, for her instruction, guidance, and support throughout the process. To my friends who have stood by me every step of the way, thank you for your unwavering love and support you have shown me throughout this journey. It is an honor to stand here today, and I look forward to serving this community with dedication, honor, and integrity.
Okay, next up, we have the swearing in of Sergeant Kyle Kirschner, whose daughter, by the way, informed him that your guys' movie is boring. So.
Not wrong.
Sergeant Kyle Kirschner was raised in Rogers, Minnesota, but has many ties to the Wayzata and Lakes area, as his grandparents living in Long Lake and his aunt and uncle owning a marina in Smiths Bay. Sergeant Kirschner's law enforcement experience started as Sherburne County Reserve Deputy, where he participated in youth snowmobiling and ATV instruction. This inspired a YouTube channel for his truck pulling competition, which you can still view today. Sergeant Kirschner worked for Maple Grove Police Department for 4 years as a community service officer, and in 2012 was awarded the Tri-County Crime Analyst of the Year Award for assisting in a criminal investigation division. Kyle became a Wayzata Police Department. Kyle comes to Wayzata Police Department after working for Orono Police Department for 12 years, serving as a CSO, patrol officer, field training officer, and general investigator. And I think his wife, Mary, and his 2 children are going to come in a badge on him. Or 1. See, your movie was boring.
Great. Do you mind if you do your swearing in
Absolutely,
first?
let's do it.
All right. Raise your right hand, say I, state your name.
I, Kyle Kirschner,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United
to
States,
support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and to discharge faithfully
and to discharge faithfully
the duties of the Office of Police Sergeant
the duties of the Office of Police Sergeant
of the City of Wayzata, Minnesota,
of the City of Wayzata, Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
All right, take a spot. Thank you.
He wants to do the other side.
Oh, okay, my other. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for bearing with me and the kiddos there. Mr. Mayor, members of the Wayzata City Council, thank you for having us here tonight. A first swearing in ceremony is such a memorable event and achievement in an officer's life. I'm so very happy to see Officer Wallace and all of his friends and family present here to support him, as well as myself and Deputy Chief Shaner in our swearing-ins. My experience in this profession thus far is that law enforcement is a whole family profession. To serve in the role of police officer, your family has to be on board too. I wouldn't be here to be sworn in as a sergeant in this great department if not for the continued support of my family, my friends, my peers, and most of all, my wife, Mary. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to serve in the role of sergeant here in Wayzata. Chief Baker and Deputy Chief Shaner were fantastic ambassadors during my transition here. Leaving a place where I had grown comfortable roots was not easy, but growth occurs outside the comfort zone. My goals as a sergeant are simple: to lead and decision-make with integrity, to support my team, and to grow the institutional knowledge and abilities of the Wayzata Police Department. Pardon me.
He's got an upgrade.
From day one, the staff here have been welcoming, helpful, and kind, making this transition very seamless. I'm eager to see what lies ahead as we navigate, adapt, and strive for excellence in public safety here in Wayzata. Thank you, Council, for your continued support, my colleagues for their hard work and professionalism, my family for standing by me every step of the way. I'm excited for the future and committed to doing everything I can for the city of Wayzata and the communities we serve to make sure that they're safe and strong. Thank you very much.
Next up is Deputy Chief Shaner. Deputy Chief Brad Shaner has proudly served law enforcement for 25 years, dedicating his career to protecting the community and supporting those who serve alongside him. During his time, he's taken on a wide range of roles, including patrol officer, K-9 officer, investigator, SWAT operator, team leader, patrol sergeant, and most recently appointed the SWAT commander. His experience at every level has shaped him into a thoughtful and trusted leader. Away from work, Deputy Chief Shaner enjoys deer hunting, but he hasn't shot a deer in several years, so I'm a little suspicious. Brad is married to his wife, Melissa, of 20 years. Together they have 2 teenage daughters, Emerson and Riley, who keep their life busy and rewarding.
Okay, Brad, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Brad Shaner,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United
to
States,
support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and to discharge faithfully
and to discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of Deputy Police Chief
the duties of the Office of Deputy Police Chief
of the City of Wayzata, Minnesota,
of the City of Wayzata, Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you all for being here. This is awesome, and I appreciate it. I'm truly honored and grateful for this opportunity. First, I want to thank Chief Baker. Your commitment and dedication to this department is unmatched. Your leadership means a great deal to me, and I've learned a lot from you. I appreciate the trust you've placed in me. Thank you, Mayor Mullen, Wayzata City Council, City Manager Yeager, for your support and confidence. I'm committed to serving this department and our community with integrity and accountability. To the Wayzata Police Department team, I'm proud to work alongside people that show up every day with professionalism, dedication, and passion. It's a challenging job. I'm committed to supporting you in any way I can and continuing to move this department forward together. I want to thank my family. You stood by me through all the sacrifices that come with this job. Your support over the years has made this possible, and I'm grateful. As Deputy Chief, my focus will be on strengthening our department, supporting our team, continuing to serve our great community with integrity and pride. I'm honored by the opportunity and excited for what's ahead. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, with that, if the council wanted to say any
Yeah, no, I think we'll
remarks,
just
turn it
have
back
a
to you.
couple brief comments, and then we'll break for a recess, which I believe, Jamie, we're going to do pictures first, and everyone's required. The chief mandated it. And then you guys will convene for cake in another room, correct?
Yes, we're actually, because the group is so large, the Muni has offered to host.
Oh, perfect, even
We'll be
better. You're
meeting
going to
at-
go down to the Wayzata Bar and Grill. Okay, so I'll just start the comments and just saying, so grateful to all of our first responders, police and fire, although tonight is about police. And, we're so grateful to your commitment to our community on behalf of council, on behalf of our community. Thank you for stepping up to serve. I look into this audience, and this what represents community to me, a full house to honor police. It makes me really proud to be part of this community, and I can see that you have family members and community that stand behind you, and that means a lot. And so I'm grateful for everyone being here. I would offer it up to any of my colleagues to offer any comments before we break for recess.
Well, I'll weigh in. First, I'd like to welcome the two newer members of the police department, Officer Wallace and Sergeant Kirschner. Sergeant Kirschner, I think it was your daughter that said that our TV show was boring. Well, you certainly upgraded that when your daughter came to join you at the podium. That will be in the highlights, I guarantee that. But to all of you, I think you know that Wayzata is a very welcoming, a nurturing place for the law enforcement. We are friends of yours. And we enjoy your participation, and we value what you do for the community. So thank you.
Anyone else like to offer any comments? Okay. So I will, so we'll break for a recess for pictures. We'll stand in recess. Thank you.
Can't say it any better than that.
I know.
No, Alex, that was perfect.
Really good.
So we're going to come back into session now. Thank you for that lovely ceremony for our police. If you're looking for anyone that was here, they're down at the Muni. Do we have anyone on Teams? I think, did anyone pop in?
Mr. Mayor, we
Okay.
do not.
So now we move on to new agenda items. Item 6. Does anyone have comments on a new agenda item that they'd like to add to future meeting? Okay, hearing none. Consent agenda is next. The consent agenda tonight included approval of city council regular meeting minutes of December 16th, 2025, approval of the check register, approval of municipal licenses, approval of the 26 through 35 capital improvement plan, approval of a 2026 lease agreement with the Greater Wayzata Area Chamber of Commerce, which is now the West. Wayzata West. Approval of the letter agreement with Merrily, Borg, Babcock for the Maple Tree Tapping Program. Approval of the April 7th, 2026, I guess it's a correction, 5:30 PM is the time and date for the no, it's just noticing it. Approval of the April 7th, 2026, 5:30 PM is the time and date for the 2026 Local Board of Appeals and Equalization meeting. Approval of professional services agreement between the City of Wayzata and Abdo Financial Solutions for financial consulting services for 2026. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, or are there any items that need to be amended or changed?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
I'd like to
Yeah.
pull item E, or at least I have a couple of questions about it. And so I don't know if we need to pull it or just ask questions and comments.
Well, I think we'll pull it just so we make it clean. Are there any other items that need to be revised or pulled? So now I'd accept a motion of accepting the consent agenda with the exception of bringing forward item E. Can I get that motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that passes. So I think right now, let's just address item E. So, Mr. Cook, why don't you go ahead and take the floor?
Yeah, thanks. The reason I pulled it is just some concern over the significant increase in the lease rate that we're charging to the chamber over the past couple of years. And I just have some concerns about that. And I know, like, one of the reasons was to cover our costs. So can you give me an idea of what our costs? I think we're paying all the utilities. There are some real estate taxes that we owe on that. So could you just give me an idea of what that amount is?
Sure, Mayor and council members. To give you an idea, when we started working on this lease ramp up a couple of years ago, we looked at what our actual costs were to navigate operating this building. And so the portions there's obviously two different groups that utilize the depot, so we've tried to apportion the costs across the two leaseholders. So we have utilities, trash, snow removal, repairs and maintenance, building insurance, and the bigger one is property tax, about $6,000 worth of property tax, because it's not the type of nonprofit that would be excluded as a use per Hennepin County from paying property taxes. So we pay it's about $11,000 a year in costs associated with the building. The proposed lease in front of you today is about $17,500.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I guess in general, like, I'm okay covering our costs. And I understand, as a city, we're trying to look for ways to generate revenue and that we can use market comps, but I don't think the chamber, in my opinion, the chamber is a unique tenant and not just a market tenant and a valuable member of the community. And I think they're justified in getting something better than just market rates. So I'd just caution that we maybe don't continue raising the rents significantly in the future. That would just be my comment there.
Any other questions of staff on this item or comments? I share a similar concern. I don't have the background of how it's been stepped up the last few years. I know there's been some drivers like the property tax and some changes, but I think we do need to keep a mindful, watchful eye on this as they are a bit of a unique situation. So with that, if there's no further comments, I would accept approval of item E, which is the approval of the 26 lease agreement with the Greater Wayzata Area Chamber of Commerce. I got it right this time. Sorry, Becky. Wayzata West Chamber, Metro Chamber. There you go. We die hard on the old world, right? So can I would accept a motion to approve that, please?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 That passes 5-0. Okay. So next on our agenda is the public hearing. I don't believe we have anything in the public hearing tonight, so we can move on to new business. On our new business tonight is recognizing resigning board and commission members. I don't know that I see anyone here, but about this time every year, we produce a new slate of boards and commission members. And it's been our tradition to recognize those that are stepping down before we affirm them. And I think Aurora and I will tag team this and go through them member by member. The first up is Bianca Jensen from the Park and Trails Board. She has served on this board since 2023. She was a contributing member to the Clackbrook Park Improvement Project. Bianca also has volunteered at Spring Splash and other Park and Trails Board representative opportunities. She has been an integral part of other initiatives from the Park and Trails group, such as the Maple Tree Tapping, Sunday Music in the Park, and community ed classes. Next, we have, do you have any comments on that one?
No,
Okay,
I'll
next
just take
is
one.
Sarah Randolph. I think she's a founding board member to the Park and Trails Board, going all the way back to 2013, so that's 12 years of service. She worked on many projects, including the creation of the Parks and Trails Master Plan, installation of new playground equipment at Wayzata Beach, the Clackbrook Park Improvement Project, and she's been a important voice for the last 12 years on Park and Trails. Next, we have David Kirkland from the Energy and Environment Committee. David has been a strong voice to advocate for the Dark Sky Initiative. He helped implement this event, which was successful and launched earlier this year. Well, I guess last year. In addition, David has helped with the creation of the City Operations Resilience Plan. Next, we have Casey Shermack, who's been on the Energy and Environment Committee now since 2019. He was a founding member of this group. Casey has helped steer the direction that jump-started and shaped the Environmental and Energy Committee and was integral in the creation and implementation of the Energy Action Plan, municipal solar installation and creation of City Operations Resilience Plan, and a number of sustainability events. That's Casey. Next is Kent Howe. Kent Howe served on the Charter Commission from 2010 to 2025. So it's been a 15 years of service, but if you know Kent has been a fixture in and around boards and commissions probably for the last 30 years, including a tour of duty on Planning Commission, and is one of the steady volunteers that we've had over the years at, I believe, 91 years young. So Kent has been integral in the work of the Charter Commission. His dedication to this is noted by his 15 years of service, and making sure that as one of the wise sort of fathers of the city for his years of service, make sure that our charter functions as it should and evolved it as it needed. Next, we have Mr. Dan Cook, who got kicked upstairs, I guess, last year. But Dan has served on the HRA, or the Housing and Redevelopment Authority, since 2022. He has contributed his experience and civic commitment both for city housing and redevelopment goals based on his profession and based on his tenure of 2 tours of duty on this council. He has supported the HRA's mission to foster housing opportunities, to encourage thoughtful redevelopment and address affordable housing needs in alignment with the city's comprehensive plan and governing statutes. Dan has helped guide discussions and decisions related to housing policy, redevelopment initiatives, and community development efforts that aim to enhance the quality and diversity of our housing options in Wayzata. So Dan, you're here. Thank you very much. We've got 2 more. Kelly Gratton, who served on the Heritage Preservation Board for 24-25. Kelly also has been a longtime election judge as well and has served in that capacity as well. During her tenure on the board, she worked on over 40 Centennial House Awards, 2 Mayor Awards, celebrating the retention preservation of Wayzata's historic character. The HPB also hosted Centennial Home events, was a participant in a booth at James J. Hill Days, highlighting the importance of Wayzata's history, and has contributed to a vibrant working plan for the HPB in 2026 and beyond. And last but not least, another person dear to the heart of Wayzata, another person 91 years young, Judy Starkey, from the Heritage Preservation Board. She has done 2 tours on the board from 2001 to 2014. She took a little 5-year break and then came back for 2019 to 2025. So in my head, I can't even do that math, almost 20 years of service. And Judy has been a consistent contributor, not only to the HPB, but to the Historical Society, and bringing front and center all of the historic representation and heritage of our community. She consistently has advocated for the identification, protection, and celebration of our historic resources, playing a key role in many preservation efforts, including the Section Foreman's House. I personally had the chance to work with her on getting that on the National Registry, along with Sue Sorrentino and others. The post office is another one that she worked on, getting it off the hit list of the federal government to close it, which still remains open, in large part due to the efforts of Judy and others to keep it open and keep it preserved as a historic site. And she's participated in almost every HPB event that has existed over that period of time. I actually, in my first board and commission, got the chance to serve with Judy way back when in 2009. So hats off to all these folks, and we've got a whole new slate coming, but we acknowledge all of our retiring members. We appreciate your contributions and commitment, and we wish you well, and hopefully we can recruit you back for service at a later date. Maybe even Kent and Judy, you never know. I mean,
Yeah, you never know.
They've done a lot for the city, so. Anything else that I missed, Aurora?
No, nothing that you missed. I just want to echo your comments on, there's a lot of people who had a long tenure with the city as a volunteer and some people who only served for a couple of years. But I just want to recognize that whether it was a short or long stint, these people volunteered their time and talents to the betterment of their community. And so we want to say thank you. And we do, even though we didn't get to say thank you in person to anyone here tonight, we do have awards that we would be distributing to all of them to recognize them for their service.
Wonderful. I had a chance to have Christmas tea with Judy in December, and she gave me her download in person on what she feels should be our direction forward. So I took that with a smile on my face, as only Judy could deliver it. So thank you for that. Can we move on now? Okay, so next on our new business is consider approval of the first reading of Ordinance 855, authorizing the issuance of general obligation equipment certificates for the fire department ladder truck, and adoption of Resolution 03-2026, authorizing the issuance and sale of GO, or general obligation equipment certificates, Series 2026A. Ms. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It was a very short title for this item. But all of that to say that the goal of this action tonight is to issue debt to purchase a ladder truck. Our current ladder truck we purchased is from 1996. They have an estimated useful life of 25 years, so we're well beyond that. We approved the purchase order for our new ladder truck back in 2022, and they had an extremely long backlog and build-out cycle. So back when we approved the purchase order, the intent was to issue debt to pay for this ladder truck, to preserve liquidity, to mitigate the fund balance in the capital equipment fund, and spread the costs out over a longer term. Because unique to other pieces of equipment, a ladder truck is very expensive. It will cost about $1.4 million. So the estimated equipment certificate that we're planning to issue is about $1.55 million to cover issuance and interest costs. The one thing I would also note is to issue debt, this does require a 4/5 vote of the council to move forward. So I do just want to call that out. While we are planning to pay for the cost of this truck over 10 years, I want to break down what that looks like in terms of your property tax levy. So if we assumed that the levy that we approved for 2026 remains flat into the future, what would issuing this debt do to our levy? Because we're going to capitalize interest and only pay interest in 27 and principal and interest going forward, we're looking at about a 1% levy increase for debt for the ladder truck in 27 and a 1.5% levy increase again in 28. And from there, it would remain constant through the life of the debt. So it kind of steps us into paying that debt service over a couple of years, but total net impact is about a 2.5% increase to the levy over time to issue this debt. Some next steps in the process, again, this is just the first reading of the ordinance and authorizing resolution. This would come back to the council at the next meeting for the second reading of the ordinance. There would be a rating call to reaffirm, hopefully, our AAA bond rating. I feel pretty confident about that. Then on February 10th, if that moves forward, the city council would then consider actually awarding the sale of the bonds. And then on March 3rd is about when we estimate that we would receive proceeds on those bonds. I'm happy to break down any part of that, answer any questions that the council has. Otherwise, we'd be looking for these two actions to approve that first reading of the ordinance and adopt Resolution 3-2026.
Questions of staff?
Just a curiosity question is, when can we expect if this bond is approved, of course, when can we expect to see it in town?
So the new ladder truck, we don't have an exact delivery date yet, but they're telling us late March, early April for delivery.
Assume that we'll have some sort of ceremony or celebration when it arrives?
Yep, absolutely. We're going to plan some sort of celebration of it.
There's some sort of tradition too when you, and maybe you know, Mr. Plekish, when you commission a new truck, is part of the ceremony of you take water and ceremonially pass it from the old truck to the new truck, something like that, I was told by the chief. I'm not familiar with all the proper procedures with fire and how you commission a new truck, but it sounds fun.
The only thing I know about is that the mayor gets a power wash.
Well, that's necessary regardless, right? So there you go. No, thank you for that. Any other questions of staff on this item before us? Okay, Mr. City Attorney, do we want to take this in two parts with two separate motions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
So the first thing that I need is a motion for the approval of the first reading of ordinance 855 authorizing the issue of general obligation equipment certificates for fire department ladder truck. That's the first motion that I would need. Can I get that motion, please?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that passes 5-0. Next, I would welcome a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of general obligation equipment certificates, Series 26A. Did I get that right? Yep, 03-2026. So adoption of resolution 03-2026, authorizing Series 26A equipment certificates. Could I get that motion, please?
I would make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, could I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that passes 5-0. Next on our new business agenda is consider adoption of resolution 02-2026, approving a variance for lot width and CUP for a two-family home at 220 Central Avenue South. Ms. Yeager, I think it's to you, and then you'll probably pass it over to.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you're correct. I'm going to turn this over to Community Development Director Sharp for a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp.
Thank you, Interim Manager Yeager, Mayor. As stated, this is a variance application at 220 Central Avenue South for a lot width variance and conditional use permit for a two-family home. The applicant is Custom One Homes, and the current property owner is Custom One Homes. The property is located on the east side of town, south of Wayzata Boulevard. Zooming in on the property, it is on the east side of Central Avenue at the intersection of Circle Drive East and Central Avenue South. The site is guided central core residential, 3 to 6 units per acre, which then sets up the zoning district of R3A single and two-family residential zoning district. Within the R3A zoning district, two-family homes are considered a conditional use. We'll go through this a little bit later, but conditional uses are a generally permitted use. However, they are conditioned based upon certain factors that will be contained within the presentation to mitigate any negative responses or mitigate any negative impacts those conditional uses may have on neighboring properties. The applicant is requesting a 10.1-foot variance to the minimum lot width required, where 100 feet is required and the minimum lot width of the subject property is 89.9 feet wide. The conditional use permit is for a two-family dwelling. As stated, that is a conditional use within the R3A zone. For reference, the R3A zone requirements for a single-family lot area would be 9,000 square feet, minimum lot width of 60 feet, and lot depth of 100 feet. For two-family, 18,000 square feet. The subject property is 26,000 plus square feet. Minimum lot area per unit, it more than exceeds the 9,000 square feet. Minimum lot width, that's the 89.9 of the variance of the subject variance, and then lot depth exceeds the 100 feet requirement by around 160 feet. This is the aerial of the property, just to show the existing conditions. The existing site has a single-family home that has been on the property for a number of years. One further note on that, the single-family home, if this application were to be approved, is proposed to be demolished. The proposed plan is before you now. The proposed plan shows two dwellings in a design factor that essentially appears as a single dwelling from the street, but cleverly kind of tucks in one of the homes on the south side of the property. This is further emphasized by the perspective home plans that show where you would see from Central Avenue if you're looking east. So this design puts the garage towards the back of the property, and then the secondary garage facing northwards towards the condominium properties to the north. One other note that I would note to this is that it's condos to the north and a two-family dwelling to the south. There are interior home plans for the council's review. These are largely illustrative and provided by the applicant to show what would fit and to go through the general square footage of the proposed homes. Speaking with the applicant, total square footage, including garage, is around 8,100 square feet of both homes combined. For actual livable square feet, it is south of or lower than that 8,000 square feet. It's around the 7,000 square foot, 800, 900 square foot range for the two units. So individually, each unit comes in at just below 4,000 square feet. In terms of front elevation, this front elevation actually faces to the west, so at Central Avenue. The rear elevation would then face east towards the marshland behind the property. The top image that you are seeing would face northwards towards the condominiums, and the south image, or the bottom image, would face southward towards the two-family home that is to the the property of the south. The applicant did provide two renderings. These are illustrative in nature and show the possibilities of different materials and are consistent with the design of the home, but the materials and structure of the home could vary based upon what individual owners wanted to purchase. As is standard with all applications, the planning department reaches out to other departments within the city to determine if they have any additional comments. Engineering had some relatively general comments, however, the biggest ones being that the proposed water line must be upgraded in order to serve the home. That would be required regardless of whether this was a two-family or single-family if they were to be demolishing the existing home. So that is just a replacement of the existing line due to its age and then undersizing. And then standard conditions of grading plan and stormwater management. The neighborhood notification process that the project went through was standard for any variance or conditional use permit. The neighborhood was notified within 500 feet. The neighborhood meeting is not required for our policy for single-family developments like it would be for a commercial or larger development. At the time of the staff report, staff did receive one public comment, and then there is an additional public comment on the dais for council to be able to review as part of the public record. Additionally, there are some additional comments that the public may be able to offer based upon comments that staff has received as well. When reviewing a variance, our code is fairly explicit in terms of what criteria the council and planning commission use for that determination. So the first is the harmony with the comprehensive plan and the intent of the zoning ordinance. And then the secondary piece, which is also pulled from state statute, are practical difficulties. And one of the key pieces that I want to highlight here is that all the following items must be true. The application must be reasonable, or proposed use must be reasonable. The plight of the landowner is due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the landowner. The variance will not alter the essential character of the locality, and economic considerations alone do not constitute a practical difficulty. Conditional use permits have similar criteria, and this is where I was referring to earlier in the presentation, that conditional uses are a generally permitted use within the zone, but have particular criteria that are a little less stringent than a variance when bringing forward the review for them. So it's similar with the consistent to a comprehensive plan. Is the use compatible with the area? Does the proposed use meet the code requirements? In this instance, if the variance is granted, which is why I've put it as your first action, that would make it consistent with code requirements. Would the proposed use affect property values? And does the proposed use affect traffic patterns? And if so, could those be mitigated? And then what impacts would the proposed use have on public services, water, and schools? Our Planning Commission held a public hearing on December 1st. One member of the public did speak at that meeting, and you have their comment before you on the dais. Their primary concern was regarding the traffic along Central Avenue. I won't speak for them. I'll let their comments speak for themselves. The Planning Commission ended up unanimously directing staff to prepare a report and recommendation of approval with the appropriate findings. On December 15th, 2025, the Planning Commission adopted their report and recommendation with the following findings of fact. The findings of fact for the conditional use permit was that the proposed use would not have adverse effects and was consistent with the comprehensive plan. The findings for the variance, these are summarized. I would encourage you, if you have questions on the individual findings, to look at these in greater detail in the actual report. I've tried to include them here for brevity. There are practical difficulties applying with the lot standard. The variance is unlikely to affect surrounding properties due to the proposed building pad. The variance is due to circumstances unique to the property. The variance would not alter the essential character of the locality. Practical difficulties are not solely economic in character. The use is permitted within the zoning district, and the proposed use of a two-family dwelling is a reasonable use within the zone. With that, the motion recommended by the Planning Commission would be to adopt Resolution 02-2026, approving a variance for lot width and a conditional use permit for a two-family home at 220 Avenue South. And if council has any questions, I'm certainly available. The applicant is also present this evening to be able to present and answer any questions the council may have.
Why don't we take it this way? Let's do first two questions of staff, and then we will give the applicant an opportunity to offer any additional comments that were not covered in the planner's report. Is that okay with you? Okay, great. So let's start with questions of council to staff on this. Mr. Plekish.
Yeah, my first question, I wonder if you could pull up the slide that has an aerial view of the existing home on the property. Yeah, that one. So if I'm looking at what I think is the north edge, is that a garage or some kind of a shed at the top there?
Mayor, Councilmember Plekish, that is the detached garage of the existing.
Okay. And looking at this, it looks like it's right up against the lot line. Is that correct? Or close to it?
Mayor, Councilmember Plekish, it is very close. Please use caution when using these property lines as they're slightly off. They're from a service that allows for very recent photos, but the property lines are not as exact as
Do you happen to know what the offset is here?
We don't have an exact survey. I believe it's within 5 feet.
Okay, it's close. Okay, it's much less than the setback requirement.
Correct.
Okay. What is the side yard setback in the plan?
10 feet.
10 feet from the north side and the south side, both 10 feet?
So 10.4 feet on the north and 10.5 feet on the south.
Okay, so pretty much right at the minimum. And here's a question. If we're asking for a variance tonight based on a two-house or two-residence plan, if this plan was one resident, the same footprint, the same square footage, but it just happened to be one home, would we even be considering this tonight?
Mayor, Councilmember Plekish, no. The conditional use permit and variance are related to the two-family home use.
Thank you.
Other questions of staff? Go ahead, Ms. McDonald.
Just on that same slide, oh, sorry, the last slide that you were on. Curious about the property to the south. That's also a multifamily unit, I think I have correct. In your presentation, you said you need 100 feet deep and 100 feet wide for two family, and so I'm looking and thinking, well, this one next door is definitely not so deep. Now, does that predate those restrictions? Did that require a variance? Is it legal non-conforming?
Mayor, Councilmember McDonald, the property to the south is 100 feet wide and does exceed, I don't have memorized their depth, but it does exceed 100 feet in depth. The subject property is 300 and some feet deep, so it's significantly deeper.
Okay, I guess I had that mixed up at the last second. So as I am seeing it though, that's not 10 feet from the side yard.
That is correct.
Okay.
Let me clarify. The subject home on the property to the south is potentially closer than the 10-foot to the shared property line between 220 Avenue, or 220 Central Avenue South.
I just have a couple of more questions, if I
Please,
may.
Ms.
Okay.
McDonald.
Do you know of any of these up-back style townhouses, twin homes or whatever we would call them, here in the city? I've never seen one.
Mayor, Councilmember McDonald, I'm not aware of this design within the city.
Anywhere else? I mean, have you seen this before?
I have seen this design before, similar design. I've never seen something quite as far back as this previously.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it personally. And I'm curious if what the applicant could have done within our accessory dwelling unit code, ADU code. Because then, in theory, you could have two separate homes. And I'm wondering if you could just refresh my memory on how that.
Certainly, Mayor, Councilmember McDonald, the accessory dwelling unit, by its nature, the accessory unit would need to be accessory to the primary unit. So it would not be permitted to be the same size. In fact, it's restricted on its total size based on a percentage of the footprint of the principal dwelling.
Yeah.
It can only be 60% of the footprint of the principal dwelling. So it does limit the size of that second dwelling.
Okay. But that's still a generous size if you had a big home, one could say. Okay. And then I just had one other quick question. Sorry, folks. No, that's it. All done. Thanks.
Other questions of staff? Mr. Cook?
Yeah, what would the minimum lot width be if this were a single-family home?
Thankfully, Mayor, Councilmember Cook, I have that right here. It would be 60 feet. So the lot requirement for a single-family home, the minimum lot width would be 60 feet if the lot were being created today.
Okay.
Other questions of staff? I just have one. I'm just trying to get this in my head, and it didn't dawn on me until that you presented it. Can you toggle back and forth between the pad rendering and the actual conceptual rendering of the two homes? So that's sort of the pad. Is truly that garage in the back of that first building literally, it looks like it's connected is it probably not physically connected, there's probably a space between them, or is it really wall to wall?
Mayor, I'll allow the applicant to elaborate, but my understanding from speaking with the applicant is that this is a shared wall between the two units, which makes it a two-family dwelling by our definition in code as well.
Got it. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you. Any other questions of staff? Okay, oh, sorry, yes.
Well, that perplexed me as well. So just thinking out loud here, you couldn't could they have put those two separate I mean, they're having to ask for an exception anyway, so, but what would they needed to make those?
Mayor, Councilmember McDonald, the code on that, I would say, is something that I would look for clarification on at a later date. It was something that I did a fair amount of trying to look back on. It's clear that our intent from our code dating back to even the 1970s was that we're attached. Whether the code could be interpreted in such a way that they didn't need to be attached wasn't an item that came up during the discussion of this application as I was reviewing this proposal. So
Yeah,
it's an item of question
My
for me
question
as
was
well.
just making sure I am interpreting the visual renderings, because when you look at the conceptual drawings, that's hidden. When you look at this sketch plan, it clearly is connected. So for me, it was just a clarification, that's it. I
Yeah,
understand what you're asking, though.
yeah, me too. I just wanted to clarify what you asked and then
Yep.
if this is a necessity or not.
I think that's a perfect lead-in, if there's no other questions, to allow the applicant to make a presentation or comments if they would wish to. You certainly don't have to. If you would like to comment, please come to the dais and or podium and introduce yourself and who you represent. Hold on, we just got to get your mic on 1 second. Yeah, it's not you, probably press the button if the green light goes on.
I think we're good.
Perfect, thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Mayor, rest of the city council, thank you for taking the time to review and look at our applicant and our application and our variance. As always, we're trying to make sure the heritage and the aesthetics of the city of Wayzata are met with everything that we do here. So that's first and foremost. We want to make sure we're meeting all codes, municipalities, setbacks, all the requirements of what you're asking for. So unique property, definitely dips on the north side of it versus the south side of it. So existing driveway is pretty much the way it looks on the screen. So we're working with that. When we did look at this piece of property, at one point we were trying to go to 3 units. And working through with Alex and his team, we came up with the best recommendation would be go to 2 dwellings. We did attach it. We're open to not attaching it. That'd be fine by us. But we did want to make sure that we're meeting all requirements. And as you can see, this lot is extremely deep for the area over in the corridor of Central Avenue. So width is what it is. We're definitely meeting all setbacks. So whether this was a single family or 2 dwellings, the way the code's written, we could even enlarge the home and still meet all the setbacks. So I don't know what the exact number would be, Alex, on how big you could go, but it's pretty aggressive.
You've got about 3.5% to the maximum impervious surface coverage, and you've got about 6.5% to your maximum building coverage.
Yeah, so there is still some more room to play with there if you wanted to maximize it, but we don't feel we need to. So, the view from Central Avenue, we wanted to make sure that keeps a real solid aesthetic of preserving a single-family look of a home. We have met with the owner to the north of the property, and we've listened to Mr. Gregg's concerns as far as what he views or looks at. There is some buckthorn on both sides of the property. We're going to remove that. We're going to clean that up. We're going to bring in some screening and tree lines on both sides of the property. There's also a retaining wall that we're trying to figure out whose piece of property that's on. But we had a very cordial and very amicable conversation with Greg, so that was great. And we want to make sure that we work with him to the best of our abilities and the best of his abilities. So, this dwelling, meets the approvals construct inside the R3. The subject property far exceeds the first two requirements of the area of 26,000 square feet, and lot depth over 290. It measures 89 in the width, which falls just 10 feet short of the width of the lot. But given the lot and the area and the depth, we feel this demonstrates that the site is well suited for a two-family dwelling. So, is there any other questions that you guys have?
Questions of the applicant, Mr. Sorensen?
Yeah, so with one driveway to both units, would it be your intent to build them both at the same time?
Yeah,
You almost need to, wouldn't you?
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd build them both, the entire dwelling at the same time.
Yeah, and when you, were you aware, when you got involved in this property, that you might need a variance in a CUP?
Yeah, interesting conversation. We're understanding that we could go to 3 units. So we had some conversation back and forth. So we knew there was a range. Exactly where that fit, that was under discovery and discussion. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions of the applicant at this time?
Yeah, as I look at this, one of the things I wrestle with is just like the long, 131-foot roughly wall along the south edge of that for the neighboring property. And as I look at this, the layout as it is now with the driveway on the north side, where there's actually more room on that side of the property between that and the neighboring structures. Is there a way that you could flip it and make the driveway on the south side of the property so that there's more of a buffer between the two properties?
Yeah, the property on the north side, is a multi-unit dwelling. We've positioned this property to be centered on the lot so that it plays off of both sides. The other consideration is the topography of the lot, of how water runs off, and we want to make sure that that's mitigated so there's no issues to the north or to the south. So the way that it's drawn meets that the best way possible. The other thing that we considered was patios off the west side and the east side. So there's no patio going off the south side of that property as well. And if you look back to the aerials, we're definitely pulling the property more to the center. Overall, if you look at the garage and the house compared to where the existing house is on the south. So we're actually moving that away from it, plus we're going to be screening that. So if you look at today's condition, there's really no buffer to the south there outside of Buckthorn.
So is there room to screen that with proper?
Yeah.
I would think like evergreens would probably be something.
Yeah, well, it'll be something more arborvitaes or something like that versus evergreens. Just evergreens will get real wide and big.
Right,
So,
yeah.
we definitely want to protect that. But we feel that this going in will actually beautify the property to the south.
What do you do for the drainage? I know that was, as you mentioned, like one of the concerns for the property owner to the north was the runoff. So if that's a driveway, like what kind of mitigation techniques do you use to capture that runoff and direct it somewhere else?
Yeah, we'll use catch basins, we'll use French drains, we'll use drain tiles. We'll make sure that based on the survey and the topography, that the water drains with engineering properly.
Okay. And sorry, one more question. Maybe this is for the city, but how do you, when you sell this as 2 separate units, does that create a lot split with 2 separate legal descriptions?
There are a number of ways that the private applicant could set that up. It could be sold as a single unit and then as a rental. It could be sold as a CIC plat. It could be sold as a separate form of sale where they have common property that wouldn't be a CIC plat. So there's actually a number of private mechanisms to be able to pull that, but it wouldn't require a lot split.
Okay. And doesn't really have an impact on anything beyond the purchasers of the property and how they want to own, yeah. So, okay, got it.
There are a number of other 2-family dwellings within the neighborhood that sell over time as well, and the nature of their sales is privately arranged.
I was just making sure we weren't creating 2 separate lots here. Okay.
Councilmember Cook,
Yeah.
the proposed driveway is actually more centered in the lot as well. So today, that driveway does sit on that north lot line.
Okay.
Yep. So you can see, overlaps on that lot line per the aerial photo as well. So I feel like we're gonna make that pretty nice. And plus, we'll do some really nice landscaping with it as well.
Other questions of the applicant?
Yeah, one quick follow-up. Just as I'm looking at your drawings, do either of these homes have a porch or a deck, or?
They'd be on grade level, so they'd have patios.
And is that,
And they do have porches.
and they do these small little ones on the driveway are the porches? And I heard Director Sharp mention your hardcover percentage is quite close. 3%.
The current the proposed hardcover would be at 32.3%, I believe, and 35% is what's permitted. 30% building coverage, and they're only sitting at around a building coverage of around 26%-ish.
Okay. I think someone might want to put in a proper deck or a patio at some point. So I'm glad to know there's a little wiggle room for that potential.
One other note, Mayor Councilmember McDonald, decks would not count towards impervious surface, so if they did do a deck, that could be considered, as long as the underlayment was not concrete. That could be considered a pervious surface versus a patio, so they would potentially have options if they did an at-grade deck.
Yeah, I will just make one quick comment that the bonus of this odd configuration is a hidden garage. I think that's kind of a plus within the garage out front, so.
Other questions, Mr. Plekish?
Yeah, that triggered a question or two. Had you ever considered actually making this two separate structures and maybe taking the back structure and put it even further back on the property so that there's actually room between the two buildings?
We looked at that and we did discuss that with staff prior to Alex. And we were recommended that we had to keep it together
And the reason for that, do you know?
because of the way the code was reading.
And Mr. Sharp, I thought earlier you said that there are things they could do without needing a lot split or anything dramatic like that to be able to put it into two structures.
The way our code reads with two-family dwellings is it certainly implies that they would be attached to one another. However, then they are called two-family detached dwellings in their name. And so, as I read the code, there could be a clarification of it at a later time. It's very clear within the comprehensive plan that they could be either way. And so that's where I gain my full guidance from, and that we do appear to have some that are detached and attached existing within the community. I do agree that the way the existing code reads as the definition of a two-family detached, that they would be an attached unit to one another.
I'm not trying to muck things up at all, but forgetting the nuances of all this, if you could have easily made it two separate structures separated by an adequate amount of space, would that have been preferred? And the reason I ask that is if I was a buyer of one of these units, I think I'd rather have it split so I'm not sharing at least part of a wall with my neighbor.
Sure. I think that's probably always preferred.
Yeah.
But there are some efficiencies in the cost structure by keeping it together.
Okay.
And I think, my belief is that the way that we've designed this, it appeases all of it. So with the way we split the garages, and it also gives that common area of the dwelling and having some divide. So I feel like we've done an adequate job with that, and I think it's not a bad way to go either.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
I'd be okay either way.
I had a similar line of question. I don't want to relitigate it because I think Mr. Plekish did a very good job of sort of playing this out. But is it fair to say that, like, it would have been more complicated, and no judgment in the statement, to like split the lots, and now you have two things, and you have to deal with a shared driveway. And when you looked at our code and how you could get to at least two, multi-unit just seemed like a cleaner path to accomplish that goal. Is that a fair characterization? And no judgment in the statement. I'm just trying to understand
For sure.
how we arrived where we got.
Yeah, this was the right path, is what was communicated.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
And we want to abide by that.
No, and that's fine. That's why I said there's no judgment in the statement. It's a seek to understand question, so.
Yep.
Got it. Other questions of the applicant at this point? Okay, we'll bring it back to council for deliberations. Did you have something?
Mayor, I just wanted to point out, I think there might be a member of the public who
Did you
wished
have a
to
card?
provide a comment.
Did you fill out a card, or is it, no, that's Kevin Peterson. Oh, well, just, that's fine.
I was going to say, I believe he wanted to speak on that.
That would be fine. So before you speak, I just want to note a couple other things. Yes, you'll be invited to the podium. Come on up. I just wanted to note that we did in our packet receive communication from a Jeff Nelson, which was referenced earlier. Also, Ms. Yeager, I know you received a phone call. Is this the phone call? Okay, great. I just wanted to, just because it was called out in this gentleman's letter, in addition to traffic on Central Avenue, made reference to challenging the practical difficulties standard around economic, solely economic in nature. So I just wanted to call that out and to amplify sort of this person's perspective. We have received other feedback in it, independent of this application, about parking issues on Central. From several, so we say, not related to this application, but just in general. So I'm just trying to validate to Mr. Nelson that, independent of this development, there have been complaints about parking and congested cars parked on Central Avenue from the neighborhood in general, recently even. So just wanted to put that into the record. With that, sir, you're welcome, and thank you for being here.
Council and staff, thank you for the time this evening. I'm Josh Kerb. I live in 206 Central Avenue South.
Okay.
So that would be, yeah, right there. First off, previously we had Greg Hoagland. They're all separately owned units, so it's not a rental complex. But Greg was here and represented our comments and views of, it's a very sensitive boundary. And all I am here to do today is really, we want to be good neighbors. And quite frankly, we welcome this project. But I want there to be, I guess, to reaffirm item 3 on the resolution, that we have further discussion between the owners of Marshview Townhomes and the applicant. And the main reason being, quite frankly, the boundary and what that looks like there, it doesn't really show how sensitive of an area that is. It's a very steep bank, and we've had issues in the past, and I can only imagine once shovels hit the ground, we're going to have some water issues. And again, we welcome the project. We wanted to beautify the site. It's been an eyesore for some time, but at the same point, we don't want to be harmed on day 2 of a project. And I think that the applicant and we can work together with that, but I just want to reaffirm that this item 3, in our mind, needs to be a firm contingency. And I think there's a lot more conversation to be held around that. I know you've met with Greg once, but there's a lot more to discuss and plan, because the elevation really, if I was to stand off the back of my deck and look to the south, it doesn't take very long, and I'm only 5'10", but the bank is right here.
Yeah.
So that was really my main comment today. Thank you for the time, but I didn't want to leave that and have that be struck from.
No, thank you. I just want to make sure for the reference you made that I'm tracking, it's on page 123 of the packet, section 4, and recommendation item C. The applicant must meet with representatives of the owners of the adjacent properties to discuss and coordinate construction plans on the property, fencing, screening, retaining walls, and stormwater runoff. Are we referring to that or to another section?
I'm sorry, I'm looking.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, your record reflects exactly in the agreement and that we're getting the language that's acceptable.
Sure, and pardon me, I might be looking at it at the wrong document. My main point is that we are, that firm meeting and collaboration, that hasn't happened yet. There's been an introduction, but there's a lot more to do.
Got it. So you just wanted to clarify that that is a condition of approval and that it's called out, and that's
Perfect.
your point.
Thank you.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that we're tracking. Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that is, I think what you read from was the Planning Commission report and recommendation, and that is in the draft resolution as an express condition.
Sorry for confusing that. I just wanted
No,
to get the language called out so
Totally.
that we connected the reference
Sure.
point.
Right.
And so
Okay,
that's all I was trying to accomplish. So thank you.
great, thank you all.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I ask a clarifying question? I read that amendment or condition as well, but I felt like when the applicant was up at the podium, he made it sound like that meeting already happened, so I hope there isn't a miscommunication already. Maybe I misunderstood.
I can maybe speak to that.
Sure.
I think there may have been an introductory conversation, but I don't think it's a firm plan or understanding of how it's going to start on day one.
Okay.
And I think, that would be really helpful for us, just because it's a pretty sensitive area, and it has been for quite some time.
Okay. I'm just,
Mayor, council member, if I may, add a friendly clarification to it. This would be an item that staff would check into at the time of building permit when plans are in a more finished stage. At this point, full elevation plans, drainage plans have not been created. Those are required to be reviewed as part of your building permit, so there will be erosion control plans, sediment control plans, full stormwater management plans that are generated as they move further with this process. You wouldn't generally create those at this time. This isn't a commercial development where you see those larger plans come forward until.
No, and that's a related, relevant point from the city's perspective, but what I hear this gentleman saying is that he's trying to make sure that this condition of approval forces specific and direct feedback and interaction between the group of individually owned multi-unit dwelling to the north, that there's a meeting. And I guess I'm looking to you, the applicant. Do you see it the same way, and are you willing to commit to that if that's a condition that we put on this if it's approved? Okay. But you're willing to meet again and get specific on what specifically is outlined in as a condition? So you don't see it as you've met and trying to get it really clear? Perfect, thank you.
appreciate that.
All right,
But-
thank you, sir.
To further that, Community Development Director Sharp, because like one of the things, like I see this number 3 in the resolution, and it's a little bit wishy-washy about, well, you can meet and try to come up with a solution, but it doesn't necessarily mean that anything is going to happen with that meeting. But Mr. Sharp, to your comments, the city has the ability to control that based on approvals of the drainage plans and all that through that, like through the permitting process. Is that correct? Or do we feel like we have enough control of that to come up with for us to influence, or not influence, but just make sure that it's an acceptable plan?
I think I can take the beginning of this, and then I would like City Attorney Shuzzle to weigh in on the condition, the specificity. In terms of city conditions when reviewing a building permit in our stormwater management, yes, I'm confident we have the tools in place to be able to do that. To address your specific concern and kind of the concern between two neighboring properties, where the city's authority is going to be is to regulate this lot and what it is doing as part of its development. That conversation and what is done during this project may exceed what would be required of this lot during the building permit process. And that is the basis for the conversation rather than, because code already dictates their stormwater requirements and treatment for the subject property.
So here's what I'm going to suggest with this item. I think we're calling out a concern of language and intent, which is perfectly valid. Let's bring the conversation back to the application and see if we are heading towards approval, and then let's revisit the language in the resolution, which is 3 on page 127 of the packet, to be more precise, which is on the screen. And if it does hold for approval, don't know yet, let's revisit the language in that, and if we need to tune it up to be more precise to reflect the conversation that was just had, let's do that at that time. Make sense? Okay. So bring it back to council now for discussion. Thank you, sir. Who would like to weigh in first?
I'll go ahead and start.
Mr. Plekish, thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
It's fine. Fundamentally, I don't have a problem with this. The thing that really got me is when I got the epiphany that if this same building structure was just one building, one residence, exact same footprint, exact same square footage, exact same driveway, we wouldn't even be talking about this. So fundamentally, I don't have a problem with this. And, looking here at item number 3, I think it's been put on record, and there's also agreement between the two parties here that this will take place. I don't think there's any difference. I just want to make sure that it's done. And I'm looking at the resolution in paragraph number 3. I personally don't have a problem with the language. I think it's pretty clear that they just have to meet and come up with a plan. So I'm fine with this just the way it is, and I'll be voting in favor of it.
Thank you, Mr. Plekish. Who would like to go next? Mr. Sorensen.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot to be thinking about here. I mean, to me, this isn't a slam dunk. It relies on, I think, our interpretation of how you apply, interpret adverse effects and practical difficulties. And I think there's strong arguments on kind of both sides of this issue here. But, as usual, when we go back to look at the criteria, especially for the CUP, basically asking us to consider possible adverse conditions. There's 7 of them. I think most of them are very minimal effect. I mean, the one, number 4, the effect on the area in which it's proposed, I think there's some issues on both sides of that. But generally, the CUP criteria, I think, makes sense. I think it's a little more complicated on the variance issues. I think it is in line with the zoning ordinance and the comprehensive plan. Where it gets a little thorny, though, I think, is trying to apply some of the practical difficulties. And I guess my understanding is it would need to comply with all these to get the variance. But is it reasonable? I think it's likely reasonable. Is it, are there circumstances unique to the property not created by the landowner? I think you could say, well, it was always 89 point something feet, it's not 100 feet, and so it clearly doesn't meet that criteria. On the other hand, you could say, well, maybe a unique circumstance is that this lot is significantly deep and the total area of the lot is much more than what you need for two housing unit. So I think depends on how you look at that one. You could argue that both ways a bit. Does it alter the essential character of the locality? I think if you really look at the exact location here, yeah, the north side there's a condo unit, and on the south side there's a duplex. Everything south of that is single-family homes. A while ago, the city approved through variances or whatever, on the same block, these long, narrow lots. In retrospect, I think that really did alter the character of the neighborhood, and I think it wasn't a good decision on the city's half. So I think those are some of the issues. To Councilman Plekish's point, I think if we go down the road of approving this, it would be important that we have compliance somehow with the site plan that's been developed, because give this applicant credit. I think he's very creative on how he positioned these homes on the lot, so as much as you can, it looks like one house. I think that's a very important issue. And so I think maybe a condition we should think about if we want to approve this, or it gets approved, is that we put some conditions to make sure that this is a site plan that actually gets developed. And if it doesn't, it comes back for more scrutiny. I think we could even put a condition on that you build them both at the same time, but I think you probably have to anyway, but just to be assured, I think we could maybe would want to do that. So, those are some of my thoughts about it. Kind of curious to other people's perspective.
Thank you, Mr. Sorensen. Yes. Ms. McDonald.
Okay, well, thank you. Thanks to the applicant and staff and neighbors for making comments. Councilmember Sorensen, I'm right there with you. I like the practical difficulty is the one that has gotten me to kind of swing back and forth as I consider this request. Where I think I'm landing is that, because I agree, you bought the property at 100 feet wide, so, and you knew the code beforehand, so how are we getting to that's being a practical difficulty? But where I landed, which is I think similarly to where you landed, which was the zoning is allowing for it, but the width of the property is the difficulty because of our code. I also hadn't thought of it, but I really do like your condition of that site plan because the fact that it does look like a single-family home from the street is, I think, really important just for how big and long this. I'm a little worried for the neighbors, but you telling me that you guys support this project makes me feel a little bit better about it because I don't know that I'd want to live next to a building that's 130 feet long with no breaks. But I do think we need more diversity in housing and creative building. So I am going to vote in favor of this variance request. And yeah, it wasn't an easy one. I thought kind of it would be a slam dunk, but it was a little harder than I expected. So I will vote in favor of it, but I do want to tie the applicant to this at least concept, if that's at all possible. And yeah, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. Mr. Cook.
Yeah, like I echo a lot of what's been said here. I've honestly struggled or gone back and forth on this quite a bit, just because I can argue both sides of this. As I look at the criteria, and I guess the CUP I have no issues with. I think it's reasonable. I think number 3, the variance, I don't know that this variance will alter the essential character of the locality, just because by the simple fact that you could put a single-family home with this exact same footprint and on this without a variance, and it's gonna have the same impact on the character of the neighborhood. So that one's fine with me. I just, I go back and forth on the plight of the landowner due to circumstances not created by the landowner, and it's, asking for 2 units instead of 1 that would be compliant. But do I like the project? Yeah, I do, and the fact that the neighbors have come out and supported that with their concerns. I do want to make sure that we address their concerns properly. So, yeah, I'm generally supportive of this project, but have gone back and forth on it. So I'll leave it at that for now. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. No, all well versed commentary. I don't have a lot to add, I guess, other than I wanted to query our city attorney on a couple things related to the finding of facts that are referenced in our approval, but I want to, it makes reference to the planning commission. I want to make sure that some of this language I'm understanding and that we're comfortable that our finding of facts support the variance if it is approved. So if you look at page 121, where it starts to drill into variance of minimum lot width from the Planning Commission report, and I'm focused on item E. The city council shall not permit as a variance any use that is not allowed under the zoning ordinance for property in the zoning district where the affected person's land is located, except the city council may permit as a variance the temporary use of a one-family dwelling as a two-family dwelling. The language is confusing to me. Maybe it holds in legalese, but it doesn't, if I just look at it as a sentence, it's very confusing to me. What is the intent of that sentence?
Mr. Mayor, so there's really kind of two things going on here. The first part is just the code's articulation of a classic rule is that variances can't be for uses. So someone couldn't come in and say, I want a variance to put a rendering plant in a residential neighborhood or an institutional use. So it just says the council can't permit a variance, any use that is not allowed under the zoning ordinance. So in this case, the applicant is asking for use that is, it's a conditional use, so it's allowed.
Okay, so it's tying it out.
Right, and then that other proviso, the except that follows, is just that you can temporarily permit use of a single-family dwelling as a two-family dwelling, but it's limited in duration. So that's the meaning of that
What do you
provision.
mean by limited in duration?
Well, just the word temporary use.
So what would be an application?
Yeah, what,
I don't know, it's never come up. I mean, we would have to. It
just doesn't apply here.
I think if it did apply, council was asked to approve it, I would make sure that it wasn't indefinite, that it would say, until January 1st, 2027 or something.
yeah, that's fine. You've clarified why the sentence is here.
Okay,
which is
sure.
just simply stating that you can't arbitrarily bring in something else that isn't otherwise.
Yeah, use variances or
acceptable.
no.
Got it. That's all that is. Okay. And we're comfortable as our city attorney in the findings of fact under section 3 that justify the standards that my colleagues here very astutely went through. It's not just for economic benefit, da-da-da-da-da. So you're,
That's right, Mr. Mayor, and I think everything I heard from council members was either expressly stated in the Planning Commission's report and recommendation or follows logically from it.
okay.
And I think it's really about the potential additional conditions that were mentioned.
Okay, so then I think the only other item that I heard that was introduced here amongst our colleagues is the suggestion from Mr. Sorensen that we consider, you're just asking for a conversation on it, a condition of the site plan being part of this. And then the second thing that I heard from you is do we want to talk about forcing concurrent construction of the two structures? So does anyone have any reaction to those? I view those as suggestions that you wanted reaction to.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's appropriate.
Does anyone want to offer any reaction to those suggestions?
I'm okay with those. I don't know what that language would be, but I like the principle or thought of that.
Okay.
Now, what I'm not sure is, well, I'll leave it at that. And I think like I've gone back and forth on Councilmember Plekish's thought of splitting this so that, because one of my concerns was you've got a 131-foot wall here. But I'm not so sure that you could split them enough that it would make that much of a significant difference, and it's only pushing back the second house further, which maybe makes it worse. So I'm not smart enough to know which is better or worse, to be honest with you. So I like the look of this one as is. So.
Any other comments? Go ahead, Mr. City Attorney, you had one.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I don't want to interrupt the conversation, but I think I might just say briefly, any substantial change to the plans would require probably a new application. So some of the speculation and questions of council has totally legit, but it's not the application that's before you. So that's one way to think about it. In terms of Councilmember Sorensen's floated idea about an additional condition, the language, I'll just throw it out because it might help you as you discuss and think about it, that you could look at is that just adding a condition, maybe number 5, that the project be built in substantial conformance with the site plan, which is on page 138, and it would be included, it would be attached to the resolution as an exhibit. So just to again state that the project be built in substantial conformance with the site plan included in the application and attached to this resolution.
Okay. Anyone else want to offer any comments on these two suggestions? What I did hear the applicant, and I'm asking you if I interpreted this correctly, practically, economically, you want to build them at the same time. There's an advantage to that in terms of construction costs and potential marketing the site. Is that a fair characterization of the remark you made? Okay, maybe just address it with the asterisks.
All right. Why I say yes with an asterisk is that we could be in a situation where foundation and shell goes up, right? But we don't finish off the interior of, say, a
Right.
second.
Right.
Just because
You're selling on spec.
Mayor would like to buy it and finish it the way he'd like to.
Understood.
So, but as far as the structure and the dwelling and the envelope, yes, those would be built at the same time.
Okay. Does that representation alleviate the concern that you, or making that a condition? Or would you prefer that we add a sixth point that clarifies that as a condition of approval?
Well, I guess, how much can we hold someone to their word in this environment that's going to happen?
Yeah, no, I get it.
I think it kind of almost has to happen. I guess I'm not overly hung up on it, but I don't know how you don't build them at the same time. I mean,
We'd love to.
you're going to block someone's driveway if you do. But I'm not overly concerned about having a condition associated with that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Any further commentary from council?
I'll just weigh in too. I don't really think we need that kind of elaboration on this. I'm, like I said earlier, I'm okay with this, but I'll just point out one thing that I hadn't pointed out before, and then I'll reiterate something, a point I made before, is that the existing structures are actually non-conforming, so this plan improves on that in terms of setback. I don't think that was commented on by anyone, or maybe even in the application. I didn't see it. So that is an improvement. And does it change the essential character of the neighborhood? Well, it kind of does, but for the better. I mean, it's, you're taking a property and improving it, so yeah, it improves it. So I have no problem with that. And then lastly, I just want to reiterate again that if this was actually just one building with one family, we wouldn't even be talking about it. And yet, visually, it's going to be exactly the same thing. And so, I just don't see that it's such a big deal. I really don't. And, I said the neighbors all like it, so I don't have a problem with this.
Perfect. Thank you for that additional commentary. So I think we're at the point now, just hearing, I think, a consensus to accept a motion to move forward. I would accept a motion for resolution 02-2026, approving the variance and conditional use permit for the two-family dwelling at 220 Central Avenue. And I guess, Mr. Schelzel, I would appreciate if you would read into the record again the additional condition 5 and just see if someone wants to make that motion with it included, or they can choose to make the motion without it included.
Sure. So the motion would be, as the mayor has stated, it with the additional condition that the project be built in substantial conformance with the site plan included with the application and attached to this resolution.
Okay. With that additional language of a condition 5, I guess it would be, does anyone would like to make that motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Okay, could I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that passes 5-0. Thank you and good luck, sir, in your project. Okay. Next on our agenda is consider adoption of Resolution 01-2026, designating appointments and assignments for 2026. Ms. Yeager.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. So this is a procedural item that we look at the beginning of every year, making some appointments and assignments and designations. In the packet, there's a resolution that outlines some of those official appointments. It talks about depositories, staff that are assigned to certain things, but it also assigns certain council members to specific assignments for things like the Panaway partnership, to be a liaison to the Conservancy, things like that. So we have drafted a resolution that has basically kept those appointments the same as they were in 2025. But those are obviously up for discussion if there are any changes that would like to be made. I believe there's interest in changing the council-appointed representatives on the Panaway Partnership meeting, but that's obviously up for discussion. So I don't believe we have a screenshot of that. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Mayor, to facilitate that discussion on if there's any tweaks from the resolution that was in the packet for any of those assignments.
Sure. So I guess I know that there was a little bit of an informal poll before about the matter that you just outlined, but let me just read out the resolution items, and I'll make that switch that was talked about before the meeting and see if that holds and the will of the council accepts that. But the adoption would designate Mayor Pro Tem first position Alex Plekish, second position Molly McDonald. We would bring forward an LMCD director affirming Matthew Thompson through the term expiring 1/31/2027. We would have the city manager fulfill the role of suburban rate authority representative. Sounds very exciting. We would affirm our city attorney to be Beston Flanagan and David Schelzel, our prosecuting attorney, Mr. Jeff Lambert, our health officer being Hennepin County, our official newspaper being the Sun Sailor, our assistant weed inspector, one job I've always wanted, which would be the Public Works designated park and department employee.
Well, now, Mr. Mayor, this is your opportunity.
Well, I think it's so compelling.
Mr. Mayor, you know, I have to tell you, you are the weed inspector. You're not the assistant. So these are
great, so I
people.
already have that job.
Yep,
Sorry.
these are people that work for you.
Good enough. Some people would call me a weed, but that's okay. City Forester, Mr. Bennett Miriam. Exactly. Responsible authority for purpose of the Data Practices Act, our city clerk, Kathy Learvig. Our assessor for residence and commercial, industrial, utility, and apartments, Hennepin County Assessor's Office. The Fire Relief Board of Trustees, the mayor, Andrew Mullen, city manager, and Kevin Klappick, fire chief. City representative on the Panaway partnership team. I think what I heard is that it would be Mayor Andrew Mullen and also Dan Cook, if that holds. That's a change from what's in the packet. And then the Panaway lead staff person would be the city manager. The Wayzata Conservancy liaison would be Mr. Sorensen. The council representative, which I think we've already did at the art committee, but we're just affirming again that the council representatives on the art committee are Mr. Plekish and Ms. McDonald. Our official depositories would remain with Old National Bank. Our registered municipal advisor is Eilers, and a designated auditor is LB Carlson, formerly known as MMKR. So that is the slate. The one noted change would be swapping out Dan Cook under the city representative for Ms. McDonald. So I would, any comments on that? Okay. Hearing none, I would accept a motion then accepting Resolution 01-2026 as reflected in the packet with the change of swapping out Dan Cook for Molly McDonald on the city representative to the Panaway partnership meeting. Could I get that motion, please?
So moved.
Okay, could I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that passes 5-0. Now we are moving on to our city manager and discussion items. I just have two quick things, Aurora, before I turn it over to you for your report. I just wanted to update the public on our city manager search. We have had excellent interim city manager leadership, but we are going to a process of reviewing internal and external candidates. January and February are where the rubber hits the road with this. In January, at our next meeting, we expect to start to hear about the slate, meaning what our recruiter and outside advisor recommends as their first cut. And then at the council level, we'll have a discussion about the concept of having a community panel alongside of council in an advisory capacity as we move through the interview process. Then as we click forward to February, there'll be 2 rounds of interviews facilitated by the council in the aim of trying to get to a finalist by the end of February. So just in general terms, that is where we're at in the process. Just want to keep the public informed of the timeline and the schedule and the big picture of what we're aiming to accomplish there. So the net news of that is we hope to reach a conclusion of a recommended candidate by the end of February, if everything holds. It may or may not, but that is our intent. The next is State of the City on February 26th. I will be offering the State of the City address here at City Hall, starting at 6:30 for coffee and cookies. Last year, we started at 4:30 and have added the incentive of cookies, so I might get 2 more people to show up this year. We'll see, with a short program at 7 o'clock and a question and answer. With that, I had nothing else, and I will turn it over to Ms. Yeager for her report.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, well, one of the items was the State of the City, so you've covered that.
Okay.
The only other item I have for a report tonight is just an update on our Clapbridge Park opening celebration. I got an update earlier this evening that we are officially going to reschedule that. It was originally planned for this Saturday, January 10th, but due to weather conditions and wanting to have skating be a part of the Clapbridge Park opening, they have pushed that opening celebration to February 7th at the same time from 1 to 3 p.m. So we'll update that on our website, on our Facebook page and whatnot, but we are going to postpone that just due to weather.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Yeager?
That's all I've got for you tonight.
I just want to give a shout out to our park staff for their dedication to one, getting the rink open and, doing that with, there was still a few punch items left, but for the kids before break and getting as much skating in as possible. And I know they worked very tirelessly to achieve that. I don't know if you guys have been down there, but it is a beautiful new renovated building, lots more space. And I see lots of happy faces out there. One of my favorite things, like many, driving down Wayzata Boulevard and seeing a good pickup game and people out on the rink. And so thank you to our staff for pushing to get it opened. And I know it's been challenging since it's been open with the weather, but that's not new information. That's sort of our new normal, I guess. But I just wanted to recognize our staff there. So thank you. With that, I would accept a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Could I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is closed. Thank you very much. No, last year, this year it's 6:30 for cookies.